Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. Krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nanda gopa kumaraya govindaya namo namah. Namo pankajnabhaya namo pankajmaline namo pankajnetraya namaste pankajangrave. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Canto 3, the status quo, chapter 18, which is the battle between Lord Boar and the demon Hiranyaksha. And today we're going to be reading texts 25, 26, 27, and 28. So let's get started. 25. Na yavadesha vardheta swam velam prapya daruna Swam Deva Mayam Asthaya Tavajjahi Agham Achyuta Brahma. So since it's 4 verses, we'll just go ahead with translations. Brahma continued, My Lord, my dear Lord, you are infallible. Please kill this sinful demon before the demoniac hour arrives, and he presents another formidable approach favorable to him. You can kill him by your internal potency without any doubt. Sorry, without doubt. 26. Esha ghoratama sandhya lokachambhat kari prabhu upa sarpati sarvatman suranam jayam avaha. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My Lord, the darkest evening which covers the world is fast approaching. Since you are the soul of all souls, kindly kill him and win victory for the demigods. 27. Adhunaisho vijinnama yogo mohurtiko hyagat shivaya nastvam suradam ashunastaradhustaram. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The auspicious period known as Abhijit, which is most opportune for victory, commenced at midday, and has all but passed. Therefore, in the interest of your friends, please dispose of this formidable foe quickly. And the last one here. Dishtya tvam vihitam mrityum ayam asadita swayam vikrame yainam videhatva Lokan Adehi Sharmani. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This demon, luckily for us, has come of his own accord to you. His death ordained by you, therefore, exhibiting your ways, kill him in the duel and establish the worlds in peace. Purport. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 18th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Battle Between Lord Boar and the Demon Hiranyaksha. So we will get started. So as I was saying, this is, there are 4 verses today, and none of them have any purports. So welcome to today's class, to today's reading, and we will, I would like to seek blessings from my Guru Maharaj and all of you devotees that are assembled here, as well as others who may listen to this in the future, that I may speak something of some value. I have not, not very qualified, and due to work-related things going on, have not really been able to prepare much. So, but I'll share what I have. So if you look at the first verse, it starts with, says Brahma continued. The first verse here. It says Brahma continued, right? So what is he continuing with? Brahma is talking about, he's continuing from the previous verses, where he says that Hiranyaksha has become such a source of fear, unnecessarily harassing innocent persons, brahmanas and cows. And all of this he's actually doing on the strength of a boon that Brahma himself has given, and with this strength, he has been going around the universe searching for a proper combatant, and he's been troubling the entire universe, with this, us looking for an equal combatant. Now, Pratibhahu Prabhu very elaborately explained this point about the boons that the demigods give. Sometimes it seems like very generously and very quickly in reciprocation to prayers. But often it is done without the holistic view of what will be the impact of the boon, right? And sometimes the demigods themselves, bear the brunt of it, especially when a boon or these huge big benedictions are given to demoniac personalities just because of their severe austerities that, with which the demigods get pleased. And we've seen this in so many situations. We see Hiranyaksha here, we know about Hiranyakashipu, Ravana. Yesterday, Pratibhahu Prabhu talked about Vrikasura and Shiva, and how Krishna had to ultimately intervene to save Shiva from Vrikasura. And of course, in the process, Vrikasura himself was destroyed, himself died. So generally, all of these demons actually end up getting killed or destroyed, after they become uncontrollable and having received these wonderful boons from the demigods. So one learning here is that, the direction that we receive, right? I mean, that we are told that one should go to Krishna for all kinds of needs, all kinds of blessings, right? And of course, the best kind of prayer or petition to Krishna is the spiritual kind, where we pray for Krishna prema, love of Krishna, or service to Krishna. But even for material needs, we are told that go to Krishna rather than asking or, praying to demigods for quick fulfillment, which happens. Often demigods, prayers to demigods are fulfilled very quickly for our material needs. But as we see, it may ultimately turn out to be not so beneficial after all, in the long run. Right? Like we see with, we saw with Vrikasura's discussion yesterday, and we'll see with Hiranyaksha and all these other demons that have gotten boons from Brahma or other demigods. So coming back to this storyline, Hiranyaksha, in his search for a good fight, right? He's looking for, battle with an equal combatant. He had gone to Varuna, and Varuna very tactfully, he did not get angry with all the instigations from. He controlled himself. Hiranyaksha was trying to instigate him. He controlled himself and he directed him to Vishnu. He said, "I'm an old person. Your equal you'll find in Vishnu." And so Hiranyaksha goes to the Garbhodakashayi ocean in search of Vishnu, right, as directed by Varuna. And that's when he encounters Lord Varaha. And Lord Varaha at that time was rescuing Mother Earth from the bottom of the ocean, which Hiranyaksha's, antics had caused Mother Earth to fall into the bottom of the ocean. So Hiranyaksha, when he sees Lord Varaha, he just lashes out with insulting words, abusive language. And it says, and we heard in the last few verses, in fact, His Holiness Ramapada Swami Maharaj talked about this, that the Lord was actually pained when he heard these terrible, abuses and insults from Hiranyaksha. And Maharaj explained that just as the Lord is pleased when his devotees, pray to him and appeal to him and show their love for him, the Lord is actually also pained when some living entity, and every living entity is his child, right? We learn from Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All of us are his parts and parcels, his children. And so when one such child foolishly, derides him, is disrespectful, the Lord is actually saddened, right? He feels pain. And so we learned that the Lord himself is sentient. He has feelings. He is a personality, right? God is not some, light or nature or no feeling, feelingless, nothingness, void, and whatever not. All these things that we hear, various beliefs. He is actually a personality. He's the supreme personality, but he is sentient as well. And it is from him that we get the quality of sentience too, right? And so one notable thing here is in our own dealings, right, with Krishna or with anybody else, we have to understand that Krishna consciousness means that we do whatever we do for the pleasure of the Lord, right? And it is not easy because we are so conditioned, we think about so many other material distractions, so many other things come to is what we focus on. But maybe, I mean, it's something that we can cultivate and try. And by remembering this, frequently enough, maybe it'll become a habit someday, right? That, whatever I'm doing, is it going to bring pleasure to Krishna? Or will it pain the Lord, right? So that's, one thing to keep in mind from this whole pastime that we've been reading about. So again, coming back to the storyline, Lord Varaha, upon hearing all these insults from Hiranyaksha, he also angrily replies, right? And he instigates Hiranyaksha. And so the fight begins. Now we know from the Jai Vijay story that one of the reasons that Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu have appeared on this earth is to satisfy the Lord's desire for battle, right? For chivalry. So Lord Varaha is definitely going to, enjoy this fight, right? And so, it becomes a terrible fight. And all the demigods have assembled to see this fight. And of course, they knew that Hiranyaksha was so powerful that no one could defeat him. And so what did the demigods do? What they always do when they're in trouble. They took shelter of Lord Narayan. They prayed to him to help them, to protect them, because they had realized that no one other than the Lord has the power, all the bhagas, right, all the qualities to defeat this terrifying demon. So that's another point of takeaway, another notable point, which again all of you know, but just to remember again, what is the difference between sura and asura, or divine and demoniac? In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, Krishna actually talks elaborately, right, about what are the qualities of the divine and what of the demoniac, right? How what is the difference? Now, the overarching, there's a lot of detail in chapter 16 of Bhagavad Gita, but the overarching difference is that when in distress or any situation for that matter, those who turn towards Krishna are suras or divine, and those who don't, and not only do they don't, they are inimical to Krishna or the Lord, are the asuras. So as we see here, the demigods always turn to the Lord, right, when they're in any kind of situation. So that's why they're called suras. So again, we've seen in the past few verses that the fight, when it begins, the Lord and Hiranyaksha are striking at each other. They are they're fighting with many maneuvers. It talks about hurling maces at each other, and as a result of it, both are injured, right? And it is both are getting injured, both are getting thrown around and whatnot. And it's obvious that the Lord is actually enjoying this fight, right? And so, and that the Lord is the Lord. Obviously, it's, he's playing with Hiranyaksha. And so, Brahma, in these verses, these last few verses of the chapter, he starts to plead to the Lord. He says, Lord, please, and that's where we come to today's verses. He says, please stop playing with Hiranyaksha like like a snake, like a serpent, and boys. In Prabhupada's purport, we heard that boys in villages would, once they catch a snake, they don't just kill it and get rid of it. They first play with it before killing it. One thing that we can probably relate to, by virtue of Tom and Jerry, the cartoon show that most of us have probably seen at some point or the other, is how a cat, when it catches a mouse or is on the verge of catching a mouse, does not like catch it and eat it and it's done with it. It plays with the mouse first, right? Plays around and enjoys it, and then it destroys it. So that's what the Lord is also doing here, right? He's actually enjoying this fight. He's playing with Hiranyaksha. But the demigods and Brahma, they're anxious, right? Because they've seen, and they've been on the receiving end of the terrible Hiranyaksha. So Brahma is saying in these verses that before the demoniac hour arrives, so we take a look at the verse. Yeah, he says, before the demoniac hour arrives, and this demon, at the demoniac hour, the demons become, is much more favorable for the demons. They become more powerful. So he's saying before that happens, destroy this demon. And then in the next verse, he talks about, he's saying about the darkest evening, which covers the world, is coming, and you're the soul of all souls. kindly kill him and win victory for the demigods. So Brahma, is appealing on behalf of the demigods. And then he talks about the Abhijit hour, right? The auspicious period known as Abhijit, which starts at midday. And it is the it's the sorry, is the right time for auspicious things, right? For victory, etc. So he says that this hour is going away, it's passing by, right? Um, and so please don't delay. Now, if you think about it, um, this is the Lord that he's talking to, right? And for the Lord, there is no right time or bad, good or bad time, right? The Lord is not under the influence of time. Of course, for Vedic rituals, right, like marriages, samskaras, housewarming ceremonies, etc., um, the time matters, right? The right muhurta is when something has to be done. But anything that is, not material but spiritual, like chanting, for example, any time is a good time for chanting. Of course, we know that Brahma Muhurta is special because at that time we are in the mode of goodness, right? But chanting the Lord's name, which is transcendental, it can be done at any point of time, right? So, um, so yeah, I mean, the Lord is not really under the influence of time. However, Brahma being, part of this universe, he is, again appealing that, please get rid of, destroy this demon quickly, he says, right? Formidable foe quickly. So one question may arise that why Brahma is actually a pure, I mean, he is a devotee. Then why is he isn't he expected to be compassionate? Why is he motivating the Lord to annihilate this demon quickly? To understand that, we can think about something that's relatable to us is a garden, right? In a garden, along with flowering plants and vegetable plants, we also get a lot of weeds. And these weeds have to constantly be removed so that the more the fruit bearing useful plants can flourish, right? And so that constant cleanup is necessary. And that's why the Lord appears as well, right? Paritranaya sadhuna vinasha ischa dushkrita. And so that is what Brahma is praying for. In fact, in this last verse, what he's saying is that this demon luckily has come to you of his own accord. It's not that you haven't had to, you didn't have to go look for him. Hiranyaksha himself came to him. And earlier we talked about how Varuna had directed him to Vishnu and told him that you can find him in the Karbodakashai ocean. So Hiranyaksha has himself come to Vishnu, and his death is ordained by you. Therefore, he says, exhibiting your ways, kill him in the duel and establish the worlds in peace. So Brahma is actually, he's actually demonstrating compassion, which is a quality of the divine, by asking the Lord to kill him in the duel, because he's asking for it. It's coming from a place of compassion, and the compassion is for the innocent, right? The brahmanas, the cows, that we read about earlier, so that this world can be in peace, for the innocent to thrive and to live in. So that's what these 4 verses are about. Like I said, there weren't any purports other than in this last verse where it says that this is the end um, of the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, um, 18th chapter, entitled "The Battle Between Lord Boar and the Demon Hiranyaksha." So, a few takeaways. It's while these verses did not really have purports, but some takeaways from this verse as well as this chapter is, for me, one very strong important takeaway is taking shelter in the Lord, right? And taking shelter in complete dependency, right? Like a little child, raising our hands and, in complete abject, dependency that I have no one, my Lord. You are, I'm completely dependent on you. Just like a child, right? When, a baby, completely dependent on the parents, on the mother, in all situations, when, smiling with the parents, or, when hungry, crying, screaming, crying loudly. So similarly, just as the demigods too, whenever, whatever situation they go to the Lord, to Vishnu, in that same mood, crying out for the Lord in complete dependency. Akinchana, right? I mean, we know, we hear those the verses about, without any other motivation, right? To know deep in our hearts that we have no other option, right? There is no other shelter. Just as for the child, the parents are the best and only shelter. They are the ones that have the best intention for the child. That's how we should consider ourselves, right? And not consider what other options are there. No, there is no other option. It is, taking shelter of the Lord, and everything that happens is, ordained by the Lord. We know that the Lord has the best intention for us, right? So, His Holiness Ramapada Swami Maharaj, in the last few Bhagavatam, in the last couple of weeks, he mentioned a few times that do everything with Krishna in the center, right? So many times, we, even in devotional service, we tend to, bring ourselves in the center. We forget Krishna, right? We think about how will my, service, how will everybody appreciate me, So, I mean, at least I don't know about, anyone, any of you all, but often, that's what clouds my consciousness. So, the directive that we receive from all this knowledge, right, which is, and we are so fortunate that by the mercy of our acharyas, by Prabhupada in particular, our gurus, we are getting this knowledge. So it is up to us to apply this knowledge, so that we, we cultivate, this sense that, bhakti, the process of bhakti, through the process of bhakti, we can apply all of this knowledge to our lives and transform ourselves, right? It'll take time, we understand that. So with patience, transform ourselves, where our attachment becomes more and more strong towards Krishna, and detach from the material attachments that we have. And by doing so, act completely for the pleasure of Krishna. So, yeah, with that, I will end. Sorry if I misspoke anything. If anybody would like to please add, correct, be happy to hear. Around too many people, but yeah. If not, we will end. Okay. Well, thank you for joining. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhava cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo and Vaishnavyo. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. 200.